All right, so I think I'm live. Let's make sure that everything is proper. If everyone can see me, everyone can hear me. Sound off in the chat really quickly. Let's make sure that there's no technical difficulties to start off the night. Hopefully, everything's set up properly. Oh, perfect. Awesome. All right. No sound from me yet on a work call. Oh, okay, so Steve, that doesn't count. All right, so it looks like everything's working. Cool. All right, so who do we have? We have Steve A, obviously. Dan Hayes, Rocket Review Ed, looks, sorry, looks and sounds. Oh, great. Okay, cool. Awesome. Donald Rance. Yeah, man, the TIFF thing always, anything that happens in Toronto, I always get really thrown off because it just ruins everything. The infrastructure in Toronto is awful. So I really feel for you right now that you're stuck in a crappy streetcar, most likely. Okay, so 10 viewers. Awesome, awesome. Mostly Vito, unsubscribe. Jeff, that's not nice. But glad you're in. Scotty, what's going on, buddy? I'm not going to be talking about the game last night, so if you're here to if you're here to, kind of just give me jabs for that, see yourself out, sir. I'm joking. Greg T, John G, what's going on? All right. So, like I said, this is kind of interesting. I don't think I've ever really talked live with anybody ever before, especially just to you guys. So, gonna try and see how this goes. If you guys like it, let me know afterwards and whatnot. So, Lagavulin 16. We're gonna start with a really quick review, like I don't know, 5 minutes or so. One second. This is interesting. Please check the video resolution. The current resolution is all right. I think as long as everything is good on your guys' end. I'm just getting weird warnings here for some reason. Yeah. So do a quick review of Lagavulin 16 just to make this whiskey somewhat whiskey related. And then we'll move into some other topics, and maybe I'll bust out another Lagavulin. We'll just see where things go from there. Yeah, so Lagavulin 16, obviously one of the big Isla hitters, right? From the south of Isla, which is an island in Scotland. I'm sure everyone really knows that already. The biggest supporter of Lagavulin is Ron Swanson himself, Nick Offerman, and for good reason. It's a really good whiskey. For anyone that has never tried Lagavulin 16 before and is afraid of that sort of smokiness of the Scotch, specific Scotch, don't worry too much. It's 16 years old, so the peat is fairly subsided. There's a lot of roundness. Even some of my friends that really don't like whiskey, they can appreciate the Lagavulin 16 enough to be confident to order it for themselves at a bar, even though they're not whiskey drinkers. So I would give it a shot, but obviously, don't take my word for it. There's a lot of reviews and a lot of better reviews of this whiskey out there. But my thoughts on it, like on the nose, I'm really acclimated to peat at this point, and so it's not the first thing that pops into my senses. I always get a lot of vanilla caramel, almost like a dark, rich caramel. Right, you get a little bit of a salty brininess as well, right? And smoke, but it's such a soft, how to describe, soft and round, and describing it would almost be like wet burnt wood. Um, that's almost still smoldering a little bit, but there's no harshness about it. It's really inviting, truthfully, and you can always count it. I actually have two of these on the shelf right now, one unopened, and one obviously I'm drinking from. And yeah, we'll just get to the taste now. So, a lot of people I've talked to and have listened to have sort of described drinking Lagavulin 16 as like an almost minty flavor, minty finish, and I always described it as the effervescence of the after effect of mint. So if you ever had like mint gum or peppermint stuff and you kind of chew and you breathe and you get that cooling effect, that's what I get. That's the biggest thing that I take away every time I drink Lagavulin is that cooling effect in the palate, like in your mouth, that you get when you breathe in after taking a sip is wonderful. I love it. It brings you back to Lagavulin almost every time. That along with other things, but that is just such a great feeling, at least for me, that I don't find in a lot of other whiskeys. And I'm sure eventually someone will make the joke that I'm using my hands are everywhere. Yes, I am Italian. My hands go everywhere. Giggity. Yeah. So along with that effervescence of the taste. It's salty and salty sweet, almost like what you would find after having like a salted caramel chocolate cookie sort of deal. Like it's not so much a briny salt, but more of an edible salt that's sharp and delivers a lot of flavor along with it. Vanillas, caramels, all the standard stuff that you would normally find with a lot of ex-bourbon matured stuff. And yeah, and this is why, and I'm probably gonna end the review there really for the Lagavulin 16. We'll talk about it throughout the rest of the night, but my actual review videos that I haven't done one in quite some time are the raw cuts are so long. It's like 15-20 minutes because I'm really bad at on the spot tastings, especially when going in depth. And I feel like it's something that a lot of people probably struggle with and feel like they need to be good at it. And it's something that I've accepted that I'm not good at flash reviews. I'm gonna give it a try. Maybe I'll get better at it the more I do this, as long as y'all like me doing this. But when I'm sitting around with people and drinking whiskey, yeah, we're all kind of, we geek out a little bit and whatnot, but we're not going super in depth. There's a lot of just like, this is really like, I really can taste the wine finish on this in this whiskey, or oh man, like I get a strong like peanut quality out of this out of X bourbon, and it's not so much like deep in the minutia of all the complex flavors. It's a lot of the big sort of broader hits, and that's all I feel like is really needed. Like, especially, in a casual setting. You don't really need to sit there and be able to pull, 18 different notes out of the smell or taste right away if you're just sitting around drinking with people. I've been around people that tend to do that before, and it kind of takes away from the enjoyment. It's a lot of the big, broader points of the whiskey that are really good. And not to take away from any of the fine tuningness of everything, but the flash reviews are can be tough for a lot of people. So yeah, that's Lagavulin 16. In Canada, it's about $130, and I saw someone mention in here. I think it was Dan Hayes mentioned the price in Canadian. It's about 130. Yeah, it's about 130. I remember the last time I remember seeing it on the shelf was about 127, 128. So yeah, it's about right there. In Toronto, in Ontario, the province, it's a lot cheaper elsewhere. John G, who, if I'm not mistaken, is in Austin or in the Texas area. Can find lag 16 less than 95 around me. I could be mistaken, John. Correct me if I'm wrong on your whereabouts. My memory is not the greatest. But yeah, that if it is about $95, it's pretty brutal. It is worth it. Like I said, I have 2 bottles of it at 130 a pop. It was a little tough to swallow, but I really like it, so I dived in. And yeah, no, it's great. Okay, so that was about 11 minutes of me rambling. I apologize if anyone was bored. A couple people dropped out. A couple people joined in. Who do we have? Jason Unsworth, what's going on, buddy? Nice to see you. ADHD Fishing, what's going on? I forget your name, but I know you've been around in our streams quite a bit, and I just forgot. I'm sorry, I've been away for a bit. Bob Ivor, what's going on? Bobby. The My Whiskey She Wines is going live at 9 p.m. tonight, if I'm not mistaken. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys are free at around 9 o'clock, go join Bob over there. Sam, his wife's out of town, so it's just going to be him tonight. So it's kind of a guys' night on a Monday night tonight. So we got to get together for a live stream, Bobby. If you're still in the chat, if not, we'll get together. I am not around later, otherwise I would totally be down to join in and in the chat and whatnot. But it's Monday Night Football, and I will be leaving my premises as soon as we're done here and going to the local watering hole to watch the game with a couple of buddies. So on that note, let's talk about some football. All right, so NFL. Oh my God, what a ridiculous weekend. Now we're going to change completely. We're going to get really into like stuff that I'm uber passionate about right now, and you're going to see my tone completely change. Not that I'm not passionate about whiskey, it's just I'm really more confident talking about other things, which is a shame, but I'm hoping that I get way better at this. So, NFL. My team is Bobby Ivor is not. I would like to ground. We're gonna pop that out later tonight. Oh, he's not. Oh well, that sucks. I thought Bobby. I thought that was his handle. But anyways, it is what it is. I get nervous sometimes. So, my team is Pittsburgh Steelers. That is my team. 1 second. Yeah, Mr. Miyagi level right there. Yes, my team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you guys want to sound off on your teams in the chat, if you guys do follow NFL football, unfortunately it's not the football, but yeah, we sand egg. Get out of here, you guys. Egg ball. So much hate for one of the more popular sports out there. And yes, it is a sport. Yeah, so crazy week in the NFL this week. The whole Antonio Brown saga, thankfully, seems to be coming to an end. I truthfully don't think that, yes, Steve A. Skol Vikings, great win for you guys yesterday. I'm really happy about that. I'm not a fan of Atlanta. I don't believe in that team, in that coaching staff, and I'm really happy to see that Mike Zimmer was able to get you guys a victory. And my boy Dalvin Cook on my fantasy team, it delivered me huge, but the rest of my fantasy team absolutely let me down, and I lost in one of my leagues. But I did win on my other league, which is for a larger pool, which is good. So I'm 1-1 in fantasy right now in both my leagues. And yeah, but yeah, the Antonio Brown saga is coming to a close, which is great news. I truthfully don't believe that there is going to be. Hold on. Let me backtrack there. I don't believe that Antonio Brown is going to last in New England for anyone for anyone that cares. The way he's behaved, I just think that Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft made a really big mistake. I think they're going to regret it. That's all I'm going to say on the matter, really. That he's doing what he needs to do. Don't really necessarily agree with his means, but it is what it is. Going through some of the games, obviously I'm a Pittsburgh fan, and the game last night against the New England Patriots did not play out the best for us. It is what it is. I'm not surprised, but I'm also a little bit surprised. I had a little bit more hope that we'd at least, make a game out of it. I didn't think we'd win, truthfully. It's always hard against New England, but the team just collapsed completely. So it is what it is. Steelers got absolutely throttled by the Dark Lord himself, Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady. And good for them. They deserve the win. They beat us fair and square. And a couple of other things in the NFL. Miami, what a dumpster fire! Oh my goodness! If anyone actually watches in the chat besides Steve A, because everyone else is kind of going off on football. Way too many flags thrown, slows the game down way too much. I'm all for player safety, but let them play. It is a bit of an issue, and they're trying to fix it. But man, just like anything else in today's day and age, it's just a brutal struggle between the old school mentality of just letting them play, as well as player safety and a lot of sensibilities, a lot of groups, advocating for safer play, and I'm all for that. I am not saying that go back to the Stone Ages where they were wearing leather helmets and whatnot, but it is a physical sport. When you're at the professional level, you should be able to just play. The risks, take the precautions, but at the same time, there is a game that needs to be played. For like kid football, high school, even college to some degree, there should be a lot more stricter rules, safeguarding, young people's health and bodies and everything like that. But the flow of the game does get interrupted quite a bit, especially when, both teams are extremely undisciplined and flags are being thrown for false starts or illegal touching and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I was never huge into football until maybe about 6-7 years ago, and I've just kind of acclimated the way I watch and operate during games. So when there's large gaps in play, I'm taking a look at my fantasy league. I'm messaging people. I'm doing things of that nature, and it doesn't really bother me as much anymore. And for anyone getting into football, it is a really big detractor of enjoyment, especially compared to other sports. Give me 1 second, guys. Just wanna. Okay, cool. Sorry, guys. Just making plans for people are messaging for the night game tonight. NFL. Miami, what a dumpster fire. I mentioned that. Who I'm really kind of surprised about was since the Cincinnati game, Cincinnati versus Seattle. I was not expecting Cincinnati to put up as big a fight as they did. Extremely surprising. I thought they were going to be an absolute disaster this year, but apparently not. That the Miami takes the disaster cake for the league this year, it looks like. Really quickly, Martin Raymond, what's going on, buddy? Nice to see you in. Locking his hat to the jet. No worries, man. Enjoy that. Enjoy the last little bit of sunshine. I know I'm doing this a little bit early. It's 7 o'clock. It's the only time I can really do it Monday nights, just because I do, like I said, I watch football Monday nights at 8:15. So I wanted to get this in somewhere, and Monday nights at 7 is the best time for me. Let's see what Donald Rand said. A good reminder of danger in sports is the horrendous crash at the Spa race a couple of weekends ago. You still can't legislate the risk. Yeah, exactly. So there's always going to be that looming threat of potential injury, but you go into those sports knowing what's going to happen, what could happen. All right, so that's the NFL, and I should have a rundown sheet. And I think next time, if you guys do enjoy this, I'll actually put a bit of time into thinking about the rundown. This is just a really quick sort of pilot run through of this, so we'll see what goes on. So moving forward, anime. This is something that I'm all about. Like I'm not the definition of weeaboo, but I'm pretty darn close. And weeaboo is a bit of a derogatory term for used to describe white guys or Caucasian guys that are extremely into the Japanese culture, anime, food, onsens, everything about Japanese culture. You sort of look at that as being, one of the, and it's hard. It's weird to like the culture that you feel most comfortable about. When I was recently in Japan, I just felt right at home, walking the streets, and even though I couldn't speak the language extremely well, trying to speak to locals and shop owners. And just the whole way of life is just extremely fascinating to me. And any opinion on the Vic M situation? I'm a little bit behind on that, I think. 1 second. Vic Beasley. What happened to him? What happened yesterday? Maybe sound off in the thing. What happened? I think I missed something. I guess August 21st. Oh, he retired. Oh, man. Vic M. No, wait. I'm looking at the wrong. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong person. Vic M. John, you're gonna have to specify there, bud. I thought you meant. I don't know why I thought you meant like Victor Cruz. But yeah, sound off a little bit there. Victor, voice of Super Bully. There you go. And that's why I was a little bit confused. Just give me a second here. So here's my thing. I didn't watch the American dubbed version of the Super Broly movie. I pretty much strictly watch all my anime subtitled with the Japanese voice acting. Reason being, I find the Japanese voice acting to be way more expressive and in tune to the way the creators envision the characters. I don't find the same amount of care and detail given to the American counterparts. The script sometimes isn't always the same, and they take a lot of liberties with some of the characters if they're homosexual or if there's a lot of insinuation of like I said, homosexuality or incestual things. So they and in Sailor Moon, a good example is Sailor I think it was Neptune and Uranus. in the American version were cousins, but in the Japanese version, they're actually girlfriends. Like they're like seeing each other, but in the American translation, it was taken away, and I feel like that does stuff like that does a little bit of a disservice to the characters in the grand scheme of things. Um, so there's a Me Too movement going on. No, man, I'm completely tuned out of that. I'm gonna have to take a look at that. Um, I guess I could probably do a real quick look on here. Uh, he's suing Funimation now, apparently. I guess, why would he be suing them? Claiming defamation and interesting. Yeah, man, I knew nothing about that. That sucks. I'm gonna have to read a little bit more into that before I make voice an opinion on that. But it is what it is. What did Jeremy Sims say? That the Dubs ruined Sailor Moon hands down. So much was changed. The Dick Dubs. I assume he means the English dubs. Sorry, Jeremy, you're. Yeah. So, anyways, going back to that, the Japanese voice acting is, in my opinion, just always 9.9 times out of 10 superior to the American version. So I'm always listening to the Japanese version first and foremost. All right, John, I'm gonna have to take a look at that. Maybe I can talk about it a little bit next week. Maybe we'll see what happens. And that's it. On the topic of Super Broly, it was a fantastic movie. Probably the best thing to come out of the Dragon Ball universe. It's pretty much since Dragon Ball Z ended. I'm not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. I hope everyone is still good for this. I hope it's not causing too much issues. Dick was coming and did the dubs and changed the scripts. Okay, very good. Like I said, the best thing that came out of Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball Z, and the studio since the end of Dragon Ball Z. Nothing really impressed me. A couple of the movies, whatnot. The Dragon Ball Super series itself was a bit of a letdown overall. It picked up a little bit past episode 120, and I was having a conversation about this with a good friend of mine who is also a really big Dragon Ball Z fan and is now watching Dragon Ball Super. They kind of, I don't know, they just did disservice. They used that new animation style that's really easy to animate and pump out episodes, but it does a disservice to the fighting style and the overall look of the anime. And that's why I really enjoyed Dragon Ball Super Broly, was because they went back to a more rougher, visceral sort of animation style, which fits that genre much better. What's going on, Jason? Nice to see you in. I actually was using your drum kit 1 coin earlier when I was talking about my Lagavulin 16 in the glass right here. So good to have you in, bud. The Dragon Ball Z, the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie was just animated so stupendously. It was a great, proper retelling, or proper, I should say, not retelling, because here's the thing. The original Broly movies for Dragon Ball were not canon. Akira Toriyama did not originally write Broly in as an actual character. They decided to make a movie and requested a character, and I don't even think he made the character. I think the studio itself created the character for the movies. Whereas with Dragon Ball Super Broly, Akira Toriyama was directly involved in that. So they're hashing out a full storyline for that character now, and I believe that they plan on incorporating him in the next anime series, which is great. The character himself was, in my opinion, head and shoulders above what they introduced back in the 90s. And I'm really glad that they pretty much redid Broly so that he isn't just like a little bit of a joke and not just like a meathead. He's, a bit more thoroughly hashed out, and there's a lot more character development in store for him, which is great. Going on to a couple of animes that I'm currently watching. Demon Slayer is an amazing new anime that came out this season. UFO Table is the studio, and they've created a work of art. And if you guys watch anime casually, if you're not really that into anime, it's just a beautiful anime to watch. Visually, it's stunning. Great story. It's got a clear beginning, and they give you an end goal right from the beginning. You know where the character starts, and you're sort of alluded to where it's going to end. And that's always great in short animes, is knowing when, like, what's the end goal, and what's it for? Is it for revenge? Is it for love? Is it for friendship? And in shonen anime, which is anime that's sort of geared towards like teenage boys, so essentially the Dragon Ball Z is considered a shonen. If you guys heard of Bleach or One Piece, those are other big shonens. Shonen animes. My Hero Academia is another fairly recent shonen anime. They're typically fairly simple, and there's a lot of attention given towards fight sequences and action scenes and whatnot. Demon Slayer does those action sequences wonderfully. It's just absolutely beautiful watching swords being twirled in the character's hands seamlessly, and the beauty of dancing around obstacles for to complete a move. But everything aside from the action scenes is just so well written and so beautifully done. I can say it. I cry a lot watching animes, especially when they hit a lot of topics that are sensitive to me. And Demon Slayer is just one of those animes that just hits me in the heart, like at every turn. I could be laughing at one second, I could be tearing up in another, I could be just sitting in awe, watching a crazy action scene. It's such an all-encompassing anime, and so, like I said, it's just so beautifully done. It's a really great anime, and what I can do is I alluded to it. I talked about it a little bit in the Wednesday stream last week. This anime tuber, Gigguk, Gigguk, who does a wonderful breakdown of everything that's great in the Demon Slayer anime. I could probably link that if you guys really like stuff like that. But if you guys just want to take my word for it, watch it. It's really, really good. Quick break into the chat. John V says, anime closes tab. You know what? This was something that I really didn't think that a lot of people would really be into, but there's a couple of people that I know are into anime and football and whatnot, so giving us a bit of a shot. Jason Unsworth, not a Japanese anime, but I did the Castlevania series. The Castlevania series is really good. The break between season 1 and season 2 was a bit too long for my likings, but they completely redeemed themselves in the way they treated the series in season 2, and I'm almost positive they're making season 3. If it hasn't already been greenlit, it should be, because I really want to see those three characters interact some more. But another really good anime on Netflix, if you want to give it a shot, Jason, is The Seven Deadly Sins. It's a Netflix original anime. I don't believe it was a manga prior. I'm pretty sure they've Netflix is the one that kind of put this into production. It's really good. It's one of those animes that you have to watch, that you can't watch critically, because there are a lot of small annoying shortcomings, but there's a lot of great character development, a lot of great fight sequences, and there's a lot of heart in it. I don't, without getting too deep into it, the characters all have to work together. There's a lot of big personalities, and the way they all interact with each other is one of the most entertaining parts of that anime. It's on Netflix, so if you don't have Crunchyroll, which is the streaming service that I use for anime, and you want to get into a couple of Netflix anime style series, Castlevania is great. Like I said, Deadly Seven Sins is really good. There's another really, really good one on Amazon Prime called why can't I? It's called Dororo. It's Dororo. It's another kind of feudal Japanese era anime that follows a young child and essentially how do I explain it without giving anything away? A young child traveling with a rogue swordsman, and a little formulaic in that there's sort of like a monster of a demon of the episode, or over like an episode or two, where they're traveling, they come across a problem, they kill a demon, and so on and so on. But what's great about it is that it's taking that simplistic formula while at the same time delivering heavy in the quality of the animation, heavy in the quality of the character development, and just the quality of the fight sequencing. So every fight scene is very, very different, and Demon Slayer does this a little bit better, only because of recency bias. But when you have a formula, and Dragon Ball Z is a really good example of this, where you have 100 episodes, let's even say 50 episodes, and you have one main enemy. It's very formulaic in that, oh, this guy's stronger than me, I gotta get stronger, and I'm gonna beat him pretty much in the same way. Every fight's either gonna end in a Kamehameha, or in someone sacrificing themselves, or Vegeta yelling at Goku because he can't believe that he surpassed them again. So what these recent animes have really been doing is they're taking a formulaic story, but they're changing up how each fight plays out and how each fight ends, and it's great for the short animes because they can achieve that, and with great efficiency. So if you guys end up watching Demon Slayer or Dororo, be excited to constantly be wowed by how many different ways they can figure out on how to kill someone. It's almost like watching John Wick. They've made 3 John Wicks now, and I don't think I've seen John Wick kill the same person the same way more than once. And this is what those animes are really doing really well. So what are we doing on time? It's been 40 minutes. I can't believe I've gone 40 minutes. Hope you guys are enjoying this so far. Sound off if you're enjoying this. If you're not, sound off anyways. It's okay. Really quick in the chat. John V, ever watch the Team 4-Star parodies? Yeah, Team 4-Star is really good. I tend not to watch the parodies. I catch like snippets here and there, not for any particular reason. I'm just more swamped with actually with watching the canon anime than the sort of reimagined versions of them. Uh, Steve, yeah, I certainly hope he didn't kill the same person more than once. I guess I didn't say that right. I didn't see him kill. I didn't see him use the same means of killing someone more than once. I hope I said that one right. I can be a little bit mushy sometimes the way I say it. Dan's in the middle of John Wick 2. Man, I kind of want to watch John Wick 3 with you, man. So if you haven't watched it already and are going to be watching John Wick 3 soon, let me know because I would love to watch it again. Oh, there we go. Mike McDonald says One Punch Man is hilarious. And okay, I actually kind of forgot about One Punch Man, and here's why. I feel like they. Okay, so season 1 of One Punch Man, and without giving, and I'm gonna try my best to avoid spoilers, very very heavily to avoid spoilers. So, One Punch Man season 1 was stupendous. The animation studio nailed it out of the park. It was absolutely stunning to watch some of the visuals during the fight sequences. They did the webcomic justice. The webcomic, because that's what it started out as. It didn't start out as like a typical manga or anything like that. It started off as just a web series, and the way that the original studio, and I forget the name's escaping me, the way they handled that source material and the way they decided to animate it was absolutely amazing. I loved it. Everything about season 1 was phenomenal. The comedy, the animation, the small character development. It was like in One Punch Man is very subtle. There's everything remains subtle except for the action. The action is one thing that does not remain, average. But in season 2. And I understand why they decided to, why they decided to shift away from Saitama and focus a lot more on other characters, is because if I were to watch, let's say this anime ends up being about, let's say 36 episodes, probably not, it's probably going to end up being about 48, just because that's typically where short animes end up, around 30 to 40 episodes. If I were to have to watch Saitama, just one punch monsters for 40 episodes, I think I would get very bored. It would just, it pains me because one part of me would love to watch it, but the other part of me would just get bored of it, and I don't want to get bored of that anime. So they feel like they did a bit of a disservice in going away from Saitama, making him sort of a secondary character in his own anime. But at the same time, I do appreciate a little bit more character building and exposure for everyone else in that universe. The voice acting's still decent, as it was in the first season. Character design still awesome. My biggest gripe is the shift in animation style, and again, it's because they shifted studios. The new studio was operating on a smaller time, within its smaller time constraints to pump out episodes. So I understand why they went the direction they did with the animation, but it did take away a little bit of the enjoyment for me. Another of the big things another of the big animes that happened to is Shokugeki, which is Food Wars. They're starting their 4th season I think next month. I think it comes out in October. And every season they've tweaked the animation, and every season it gets cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. And if you guys wanted to, if you guys have watched it or haven't watched it, the animation is still wonderful, but it's too polished. Essentially, what happened was in the first season, everything was a little bit rougher, right? Not as glamorous, not as shiny. But then when it would go to the food, which is the Shokugeki is a food cook animes, right? So it's all just cooking preparedness. Essentially, it's cooking school, and so the contrast between the sort of rougher animation style and then when it pans to the prepared food at the end of it, where it's glistening and gleaming and it looks fantastic, and they've put all this effort into it, and you've watched them cook things, and it does a really good job at essentially you can follow a lot of these recipes yourself if you were to watch the anime. There are YouTube channels that make anime food, and they say in Shokugeki that they can easily continue just make the food based on what they say, like how they make it in the anime, which is amazing. So the contrast of the two is fantastic, right? A little bit rougher, and then it puts more emphasis on the food. Whereas now, everything's polished. There's no big contrast visually when you're going from a character's face to the food. It's just kind of like, oh, well, that food looks like it belongs there now. Whereas before it was like, oh snap, man, that food looks otherworldly. Like it's ridiculous. Like that can't be right. So that's my it's a small gripe. I realize that. I'm not a huge fan of change, especially when it comes to stuff like that. So like if I get into an anime because of that, it kind of takes away from it. I'm still gonna watch it because at this point I'm way too invested in the characters to just give it up. I need to know what happens, but it's like it was better drawn the way it used to be drawn. So yeah. What's Mike saying here? Initial D was a great show too. Watch the animation evolve. Initial D. I don't think I've ever watched that one there. Am I gonna have to put that on the list? Street racing. That's probably why. Yeah, I don't think I've ever watched a racing anime before. I've watched baseball. I've watched basketball. And the basketball one that I watched was really good. That's Kuroko's Basketball. Is an amazing sports anime. Super well drawn. Great character development across, I think it's 3 seasons. Hey, Swami, welcome in. I'm talking about anime right now. I'm just going to probably be finishing up shortly. I'm drinking a little bit of Lagavulin 16 as well. But right now I'm on the topic of anime. And yeah, so basketball anime. Kuroko's Basketball was a great anime. If you guys like sports animes, that's a great one to watch. Like I said, well drawn, great character development, surprising depth of story, considering that it's literally just centered around a couple of basketball tournaments. But solid. What else? What other kind of sports animes have I watched? Oh man, I watched a really dumb one about a year ago. What was it called? It was about water polo. It was so silly. It was such a silly anime. I can't believe I actually ended up finished watching it. It was only 1 season. They didn't make a 2nd season. I'm gonna have to think about the title. Actually, you know what? Probably not. It's not even worth mentioning because it was a garbage anime. Hey, Puffs and Jam, nice to welcome you in. Malta Montreal just mentioned Rick and Morty. That's a show that I need to actually start watching. I've caught episodes here and there. I howl in laughter every time, but it always escapes me when I sit down to just put something on. I tend to just immediately either go to anime or a new comedy special. Actually, that's something that we should talk about really quickly before we have to leave. Got 11 minutes. Let's talk about the new Dave Chappelle comedy special. Holy moly. People are losing their damn minds about it. My thoughts on it really quickly. I thought it was genius. I thought it was an absolute genius special. Dave Chappelle is a comedic genius through and through. People need to realize sometimes that comedy is comedy. There's a reason why comedy exists and why people are drawn to comedians. It's 50-50. It's reality. It's comedy is based in reality, and if you can't laugh at that, then what are you doing? There's comedy in everything. You have to be able to laugh sometimes, and that's something that um, I'm a little bit bad at, is that I break a lot of tense situations with a stupid comment or just a laugh, something to break the tension. Just because I don't believe in things being so serious all the damn time. A lot of my good friends will know like what I mean by that is when I'm really really comfortable, like I say some weird stuff, but it's always to incite a reaction, to break tension, and like everything Dave Chappelle said. And he even said, he's like, man, I want people to have rights. I want them to have to be free and this and that. But man, make it easy for yourselves. I'm all for everything. Like I'm all for LGBT rights. I'm all for animal cruelty. People doing their thing. Last week at the Canadian National Exhibition during the air show, there were some peaceful protesters, just with a banner, not just doing their thing, just protesting their own thing. But then there was a guy just yelling profanities at them, and I had to step up and just be like, hey man, like what do you like? Just let them protest, let them do their thing. They're not bothering anybody. Let them have their thing. It's a little bit ironic because the army fought for the rights to be able to do this, and now they're protesting, the army. But just don't let them have their thing. Like don't. And there's kids around, just let them have their thing. So the whole Dave Chappelle thing, like he's on point with everything, and like he said, he's like, I'm all for everybody's rights. No, I'm not for animal cruelty. I'm all for animal cruelty advocate. Anti-animal cruelty advocates. My apologies, guys. Yeah, anti-animal cruelty activists. All for it. Do your thing. I'm still gonna eat meat. I've had vegan food before. It's good. I just like my steak. You do your thing. Oh, let me do my thing. But yeah, the whole Dave Chappelle thing. He's getting unnecessary. He's getting expected heat for it because of the society we live in today. But is it really that bad? I don't think it's really that bad. It's comedy. It made me laugh my ass off. It made me think a little bit, about the way society handles things. And it's comedy, guys. It's comedy. And I hope this doesn't polarize anybody. But yes, I want all the eggs and bacon you have. Hold on, son. I think you misheard me. I said I want all the eggs and bacon you have. The Dave Chappelle special is fantastic. And if you haven't watched it already, give it a shot. If you don't like Dave Chappelle, which I don't know why you wouldn't, he's an absolute god. Give it a shot. Be open-minded. Don't make any judgments. Because, like I said, it's comedy. It's laugh. It's reality. Just be open-minded. And we've got a couple minutes left. Tool. We'll talk about music really quickly because we got 6 more minutes. The new Tool album, fantastic. Oh boy, so good. And I love like on the internet all these Taylor Swift fans that have been saying like, oh, because Tool's album beat out Taylor Swift's album, and all these 10, even 15-year-old kids don't know who Tool is, and it's just hilarious watching like, who's this band Tool? They haven't released an album in 13 years, and they beat out our Taylor Swift. Get out of here, Taylor Swift, please. She makes okay music, but it's Tool, like rightly deserved #1 on the billboards. What a great album. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it. It's so oddly psychedelic in nature, And the only thing that I was thinking about the entire time when I was listening to the album was, I wonder what this would be like on shrooms. That was my legitimate thought. Like, let's get some shrooms going, put this music on, and see where we go. Because, man, it is great. Where's Swami going? I got tickets to Nashville. Tickets to Nashville. Oh, I would. Am I gonna assume that you got tickets to see Tool in Nashville, Swami? Because that would be an amazing venue to watch them. But I'm actually surprised they wouldn't have a tour date in Montreal. They have one in Toronto. So yeah, yeah. Let me take a little sip. I've actually been ignoring the Lagavulin. I've just been focused on talking. So I imagine it's a bit like the 12-minute video. Okay, we're going to talk about that really quickly. That 12-minute video, Nashville Pussy. That's a band? That's amazing. I've never heard of that before. No, the band Nashville Pussy. That's absolutely wonderful. I'm going to have to... What kind of band are they? Are they... If they're country, I might pass on them because I'm not the hugest fan of country music. But maybe give them a shot. Could surprise me. I love old school country. Like when country was like Johnny Cash, and they're called Nashville. Yeah. Okay, they're country. Okay. Yeah. I'll give them a shot. Why not? We'll see. Maybe I'll like them. But the 12-minute video that was released this morning, I actually didn't want that video to be released. I saw that. I still don't know who made it. I don't know who. I know who some of these videos are being made by, but I don't know who made that one. And I was a little bit upset about that one. But let it happen. Let it slide. I try to be a good sport about stuff like that. Southern rock metal. Oh, definitely giving it a shot then. But yeah, the 12-minute video is so silly. I'll be honest, I didn't find it all that amusing, and not just because my face was on it, just not my type of humor, truthfully. But yeah, I don't want to end it off on a negative note. So what I will do is, what can I do to kind of lighten it up a little bit? I don't know. I don't know if anyone really... so I'm going to Pittsburgh this Sunday to watch the Pittsburgh Steelers face off against the Seattle Seahawks. And if you're ever in Pittsburgh, you need to go to Burgatory. And I hope that... there we go. It's focusing in decently enough. Burgatory is one of the best burgers that I've ever had. You can build your own burger, and you can ask for it however you want it done. You can ask for it more rare, a bit more medium well done, crazy customizable options. Me and my buddy we drive into Pittsburgh on Saturday. We drive in, we stop and have a burger. Depending on what time we get in, if we have a burger early enough, we have another burger for like a late night snack. And then on game day on Sunday, we have a burger on the way to the stadium. And then we have a burger after the game. And then we have a burger before we leave Monday for lunch. That's how good it is. The most I've had it is I've had it 4 times in a weekend before. And it is absolutely amazing. So if you're ever in Pittsburgh, first of all, let me know because I'll drive down. Depending, I would make the effort to drive down. But if you're driving through and need a place to eat, Burgatory is the place to go. So with that, I'm gonna end the stream. I really appreciate everyone hanging around for this, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I felt pretty good about it. But like I said, if I do another one, if you guys like this, I will actually make a proper rundown and kind of stay a bit more on point, a little bit more on track. And if you guys have thoughts about topics and stuff like that, shoot me an email, hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, and let me know your thoughts. And so in the meantime, still haven't figured out. We've been doing this channel for almost a year now. Still haven't figured out ending toast. But where are you, Vito? Oh yeah, that is a lot of burgers. Swami, I am actually in my kitchen area. I've moved out of the living room so that there's a bit more space there for when I host football on Sundays. I'm just I like my burgers. What can I say? So in the meantime, guys, really grateful that you all stopped in and hung out with me for the last hour, and we'll see you next time. Slancha.